The plane was shaking so bad I thought it would come apart in midair. June 5th, 1944. We were over the English Channel, packed into a C-47 like sardines. 82 guys with full combat loads, parachutes, reserve chutes, weapons, ammunition. Couldn't move if you wanted to. Could barely breathe. I was 21 years old. Private First Class Michael Donnelly, 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 82nd Airborne Division. Kid from Philadelphia who'd never been on an airplane until the Army taught me how to jump out of one. They'd briefed us for weeks, showed us maps, photographs, sand tables, told us exactly where we'd land, what our objectives were, how the invasion would unfold. Made it sound simple. Textbook, but sitting in that plane, feeling it buck and weave through the darkness, watching the other guys' faces in the red jump light. Nobody thought it was going to be simple. Some of the men were praying, lips moving silent, fingers on rosaries or crosses. Others were checking their equipment for the 100th time. Anything to keep busy, keep from thinking. Tommy Ricci from Brooklyn was across from me. He was throwing up into his helmet. Not from fear, from the turbulence. The plane was getting hammered by flak and evasive maneuvers. Everyone was sick. The smell was god-awful. My jump master was a sergeant named Frank Hayes. Tennessee boy, been with the 82nd since North Africa. He'd jumped into Sicily, survived that mess. If anyone knew what we were in for, it was Hayes. He looked calm. Too calm. I realized later it wasn't calm at all. It was acceptance. He knew most of us wouldn't make it through the night, had made his peace with it. I hadn't. I was terrified. Hands shaking so bad I could barely hold my rifle. Kept thinking about my mother back in Philly, about my kid sister, about the girl I'd taken to the movies before we shipped out. Would have given anything to be back in that movie theater. To have never volunteered for the paratroopers. To have stayed with a regular infantry unit where at least you walked into hell instead of falling into it. But it was too late for regrets. The red light was on. We were approaching the drop zone. The plane lurched hard to the left. Something exploded outside. Flak or another plane hit, I couldn't tell. The noise was incredible. Anti-aircraft fire, engines roaring, wind screaming through gaps in the fuselage. Sergeant Hayes was standing by the door now, waiting for the green light. He turned and looked at us, had to shout to be heard over the noise. Remember your training. Get out fast. Get together on the ground. Find your assembly point. Standard stuff. But his eyes said something different. His eyes said, good luck. You're going to need it. The green light flashed on. Go! Gio, go! Hayes went first, disappeared into the black. The rest of us shuffled toward the door, weighted down with gear, moving on autopilot. Training taking over where thought stopped. I was number 8 in the stick, watched 7 men ahead of me vanish into the darkness. Then it was my turn. Stepped into nothing. The prop blast hit me like a fist, spun me around, tumbled me. I'd done training jumps, knew what to expect, but this was different. The plane was going too fast, too low, taking evasive action. Everything was wrong. My chute opened with a crack that I felt in my spine. Looked up, thank God, full canopy. I'd seen men pull reserve chutes in training, seen what happened when a main didn't deploy right. Then I looked down and my stomach dropped. I could see fires, lots of them. The town of Sainte-Mère-Église was lit up like Christmas, buildings burning, tracer rounds streaking through the sky, explosions everywhere, and I was floating down right into the middle of it. We were supposed to land in fields outside the town, somewhere quiet, away from German positions. But the planes had scattered us. Some pilots panicked from the flak, dropped us early or late or just anywhere. The whole plan was falling apart before we even hit the ground. I could see other parachutes around me. Some were on fire, men burning alive as they drifted down, screaming. I watched one paratrooper's chute collapse, watched him fall like a stone. Heard the impact even over all the other noise. The ground was coming up fast, too fast. I tried to remember my PLF parachute landing fall. Feet and knees together, knees bent, roll with the impact. But I was coming in too hot, too sideways. I hit hard. Something snapped in my ankle. Pain shot up my leg like lightning. I collapsed, got dragged by my chute for about 20 feet before I could hit the release. Lay there for a second, gasping, trying to orient myself. That's when I heard the German voices. They were close, maybe 50 yards away, shouting to each other. I could see their silhouettes against the fires. I rolled behind a hedgerow, dragging my bad ankle, biting down on my lip to keep from crying out. Every movement sent fresh waves of agony through my leg, but making noise meant dying, so I stayed quiet. Got my rifle unslung. Checked it by feel in the darkness. Barrel clear, magazine seated, bolt forward. Thank God for training. Your hands remember even when your brain can't think straight. More parachutes were coming down. I watched one land in the town square, right under a streetlight. The Germans saw him too. He was still trying to get out of his harness when they opened fire. Cut him down before his feet touched the ground. His body just hung there in the parachute straps, swaying. Another trooper landed in a tree near the church. Got tangled up in the branches, couldn't get free. Started taking fire from multiple directions. I watched him try to defend himself, shooting one-handed while hanging helpless. Then he went still. Just hung there like a broken puppet. This wasn't a battle. It was a slaughter. I heard American voices in the darkness. Someone trying the cricket clicker. Click-clack, click-clack, the recognition signal we'd been issued. But there were so many scattered voices, so much chaos you couldn't tell who was who or where anyone was. I stayed behind that hedgerow, didn't move, didn't click my cricket, just watched and listened and tried not to pass out from the pain in my ankle. A German patrol moved past me. 6 men, maybe 10 feet away. I held my breath. One of them stopped, lit a cigarette. I could see his face in the matchlight. Young, tired, scared as I was. If he'd looked my direction, he would have seen me, but he didn't. Just smoked his cigarette and moved on with the others. After they passed, I started crawling, dragging myself along the hedgerow, using my rifle as a crutch. Every few feet I had to stop, breathe through the pain. My ankle was swelling up inside my boot. Might have been broken. Didn't matter. Had to keep moving. Found a ditch, rolled into it, landed on something soft that groaned. Another paratrooper. Couldn't see his face in the dark, but I could feel the sticky warmth of blood. Lots of it. "Help me," he whispered. "Please, help me." I felt around, trying to find where he was hit. My hands came back soaked. He was gut shot, maybe worse. In the darkness, I couldn't tell how bad. "You're okay," I lied. "You're gonna be fine." "I can't feel my legs," he said, voice weak, fading. I can't. He died while I was holding him. Felt his last breath against my ear. Felt his body go slack. I don't know who he was, never saw his face, never learned his name. But I held him while he died, and that's something that stays with you. The sky was getting lighter. Dawn was coming, and with it, whatever hell the day would bring. By sunrise, I'd found 3 other guys from the 505. None of them were from my company. We'd been scattered across miles of Norman countryside. The whole airborne operation was a mess, but we were alive, and we had a mission. Sergeant Hayes, the one from my plane, we found him around 0700 hours. He'd landed in a cow pasture, busted his knee, but was trying to organize whoever he could find. He had maybe 20 men with him. Mixture of 505th and 507th, even a couple guys from the 101st who'd been dropped completely in the wrong zone. "We're supposed to be securing this crossroads," Hayes said, pointing at a map. His knee was swollen to twice its normal size, but he was walking on it anyway. "Don't know if anyone else made it to the objective, so we go. Donnelly, can you walk?" My ankle was purple and the size of a grapefruit. "Yes, Sergeant." "Good. Let's move." We headed inland, moving through the hedgerows, the bocage country, every field separated by thick hedge walls, perfect for ambushes, perfect for getting lost, perfect for dying without anyone knowing where. We made contact with Germans twice that morning, quick, vicious firefights, 10 seconds of chaos, and then silence. We lost 2 men in the first encounter, 3 in the second, guys whose names I'd just learned. But we reached the crossroads by noon, found it already held by a platoon from another company. They'd lost half their men taking it. The lieutenant in charge was 19 years old and looked 50. "Any word on the beach landings?" Hayes asked him. "Nothing. Radio's dead. We're cut off." So we sat at that crossroads and waited. Dug in, set up a perimeter. Wondered if the invasion had failed. If we were alone behind enemy lines with no support coming. The Germans counterattacked around 1400 hours. Infantry with armor support. We had bazookas, but not enough ammunition. Had to let the first tank roll right through our position before we could take a shot at the second one. Tommy Ricci, the kid who'd been throwing up on the plane, he made that shot. Knocked out the tank with his last rocket. Then got hit by machine gun fire from the infantry following it. Died instantly. I watched him fall, watched the medic run to him, check for a pulse, shake his head. 24 hours ago, Tommy had been worried about getting airsick. Now he was dead in a French ditch. We held the crossroads, barely. By the time the sun set on June 6th, we'd been reinforced by elements coming up from the beach. The invasion had succeeded. We'd done our part. Cost us 60% casualties in our makeshift unit, but we'd done it. Hayes sat down next to me that evening. Didn't say anything for a long time. Just sat there, staring at nothing. "Was it worth it?" I asked. He didn't answer. Don't think he could. We fought through Normandy for the next month. Every hedgerow, every village, every goddamn inch of ground was a battle. The Germans didn't quit, neither did we. Men died daily, got replaced by green troops who died just as fast. My ankle never healed right. Medic wrapped it, gave me some aspirin, told me to stay off it. Couldn't stay off it. Had to keep moving, keep fighting. It hurt every single day. Still does. But the physical pain wasn't the worst part. You get used to pain. You learn to live with it. It's the other stuff you can't learn to live with. I can't close my eyes without seeing that paratrooper hanging in the tree, the one who died shooting back while tangled in his harness. Sometimes in my dreams I'm him. I'm the one hanging there, helpless, watching the muzzle flashes coming toward me. I see the kid I held in the ditch, never knew his name, never saw his face, but I felt him die. And that's more intimate than knowing someone's name. I think about his family, think about the telegram they got. Died in service of his country. What does that even mean? He died bleeding out in a ditch, scared and alone, held by a stranger. Tommy Ricci haunts me, the way he looked on the plane, sick and scared but trying to crack jokes. "Hey, Donnelly," he'd said. "If I don't make it, you tell my ma I went out like a hero, okay?" I laughed. Promised him. Never thought I'd have to keep that promise. I wrote his mother, told her he saved our lives, knocked out a tank, died instantly. All true. Didn't tell her he screamed. Didn't tell her it took him 3 minutes to bleed out. Didn't tell her we couldn't reach him because of the machine gun fire. Some truths aren't for mothers. The war ended in May 1945. We were in Germany by then. I'd been wounded twice more. Shrapnel in my shoulder at the Battle of the Bulge, bullet through my hand in the Rhineland. Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star and a chest full of medals that don't mean anything. They sent us home as heroes. Ticker tape parades, bands playing, people cheering, girls kissing us at train stations. Everyone wanted to shake our hands, buy us drinks, hear our stories. I couldn't tell them the truth. Couldn't explain that I wasn't a hero. That I'd spent most of D-Day hiding in a ditch with a broken ankle, too scared to move. That the men who deserved the parades were dead in Norman soil. So I smiled, said thank you, let them believe what they needed to believe. My father was a World War I veteran. He'd tried to warn me, tried to tell me what it would be like. I didn't listen. Thought his war was different. Thought this time would be different. It wasn't. War is war. Different weapons, different enemies, same result. You go in as one person, come back as someone else. If you come back at all, I came back. My body made it home to Philadelphia. But part of me is still in Normandy, still floating down into that burning town, still listening to German voices in the dark, still holding a dying boy whose name I never learned. It's been 16 years since D-Day. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like it happened to someone else, and I just inherited their memories. I got married in 1947. Sarah, a girl from the neighborhood who waited for me. We have 3 kids now. I work for the city, drive a truck. On the surface, I'm doing fine, living the American dream. But I wake up screaming at least once a week. Sarah knows not to touch me when I'm having a nightmare. Learned that the hard way after I almost hit her, still asleep, still fighting Germans in my head. I can't watch fireworks. 4th of July is hell for me. Everyone else is celebrating, and all I hear is artillery. All I see are muzzle flashes. I sit in the basement with the lights off until it's over. Loud noises make me flinch. Car backfires, construction sounds, kids popping balloons at birthday parties. My children think it's funny sometimes. Dad's jumpy, they say. They don't understand. How could they? I tried to talk to Sarah about it once, really talk. Told her about the paratrooper in the tree, about holding that boy in the ditch, about Tommy Ricci. She listened, held my hand, tried to understand, but I could see it in her eyes. She couldn't comprehend it. The horror was too foreign, too far from her world of grocery shopping and PTA meetings and backyard barbecues. It's over now, she said. You're safe. You're home. But I'm not. Not really. Part of me is still there, will always be there. I see other veterans sometimes. We recognize each other. Something in the eyes. The way we move through crowds, always scanning, always checking exits. The way we react to sudden movements. There's a guy at the VFW jumped with the 101 Saint. We don't talk much. Don't need to. Sometimes we just sit at the bar in silence, drinking, understanding without words. His hands shake like mine do. His eyes have the same look. The young guys, the ones who weren't there, they want war stories. Want to hear about glory and courage and brotherhood. I give them sanitized versions. Leave out the screaming. Leave out the smell. Leave out the way men look when they're dying. Keep the nightmares to myself. My oldest boy is 12. Starting to ask questions. Wants to know if I was brave. If I killed a lot of Germans. If war is as exciting as the movies make it look. I don't know how to answer him. Don't know how to explain that war isn't exciting, that it's mostly terror and boredom and death, that the movies lie, that the parades and medals and patriotic speeches are all covering up the truth. The truth is that war destroys everyone it touches. The dead are the lucky ones. They don't have to live with what they saw, what they did, what they became. I think about the German soldier who almost saw me that night. The one who stopped to smoke a cigarette. Young kid, looked as scared as I felt. If he'd looked my direction, one of us would have died. Maybe both. Wonder if he made it. If he's somewhere in Germany right now, also waking up screaming, also jumping at loud noises, also unable to tell his family what really happened. Probably. War doesn't respect sides. It breaks everyone the same. They call us the greatest generation. Say we saved the world, maybe we did, but the cost was our souls. I survived D-Day. survived Normandy, survived the whole damn war. But I didn't come home. Not really. What came back to Philadelphia in 1945 was just wearing my face. The real me died somewhere over France, fell into darkness and never landed.